All right. A very warm good afternoon to all our students and team members. I, Ravinder Gulati, welcome all of you to this wonderful discussion with a wonderful person, Mr. Jaspreet Chandok. I am sure most of you must have met him already. Those who haven't, let me tell you that Jaspreet is an alumnus of IIM Kozhikode. Currently, he holds the position of Vice President, RISE Worldwide, formerly known as IMG Reliance. So all of you are aware of what IMG Reliance is. He is also the head of fashion and Lakme Fashion Week. Under his stewardship for more than 2 years, Lakme Fashion Week has grown significantly in terms of... okay, it's 4 now.
This introduction seems 2 years old now.
Right. So we'll figure that out, sir, and we will correct it for the next session, of course. So I was telling you that Lakme Fashion Week has grown significantly under his stewardship in terms of reach and digital coverage. Beyond LFW, Jaspreet works with a diverse set of stakeholders, including the Ministry of Textiles, United Nations, and British Council, apart from consulting leading brands and designers on business building also. He recently led India's victory at International Fashion Showcase at London Fashion Week and was hosted at Buckingham Palace by the Queen of England as part of building of cultural relations between UK and India. So in the next 1 hour, we will talk about the new normal. So once we have heard Mr. Chandok sharing his insightful thoughts, we will have 5 selected students from different centers come live with Jaspreet and ask their questions also. And right after that, we will take questions from others who have joined us either on Zoom or on YouTube. So let's begin. Jaspreet, first thing that I want to understand is that why we are discussing the new normal. What discussion do you think is important for our students or anybody else for that matter?
Yeah, I think if you see how in India, luckily the pandemic seems to be at its last legs. We are hopeful that there is no further upswing that happens in the country. So we are actually entering a phase where people start using the word things are back to normal. Normal ho rahi hai cheezein ji. So, from that perspective, I think it was important to share what we feel are the insights on what the new normal will be. Because while सब चीज normal हो रही है जी, जो नया normal होगा वो पिछले normal से थोड़ा different होगा. तो हर आदमी का नजरिया ये पिछले साल में बदल गया है, which means that there is a different way that corporates will look at how to grow their business, and hence a different way in which they're going to recruit people. There will also be a different way in which consumers consume things. And वो जो consumption story जब बदल जाती है, तो while things return to a normal, that normal ही कुछ नया है. So, I thought that is something that I choose as my topic because I keep hearing this quite a bit कि things अब normal होनी शुरू हो गई है. लेकिन ये normal है क्या? वो अभी everybody ने define नहीं किया है, क्योंकि I think these things will now define how, let's say, the students here build their careers, organizations build their business, and how consumers consume whatever we are selling. So I think that was the reason why I wanted to, share my thoughts on this new normal.
Right. So next thing that we have to understand is that, things are changing. All of us are aware of that. Have we seen these kind of situations in the past? If yes, so I would like to know, since our audience now understands why we're discussing this, let's look at what new normal is. And in your journey from IIM Kozhikode as a student to VP of RISE Worldwide today, how many times do you think the normal has changed? How many times have we seen these kind of disruptions in technology, in education, or in the economy?
If you see the speed at which things are changing have always, sped up over a period of time. So, अगर पहले industrial revolution होता था, the impact of the industrial revolution would take about 50 years to be felt across the world. Okay, now a new technology coming in, the lead time of that being adopted by the world has come down to 2-3 years. तो नॉर्मल तो बहुत बदलता है, मतलब मेरे टाइम पे तो इंटरनेट वाज born in my lifetime, maybe not as much as the students. I was in school and I was fascinated you could download the lyrics of a song. That's the first thing I ever downloaded from the
Absolutely.
internet. कि उससे पहले what I used to do, see your students would not know this, is कि अगर एक song को रटना है तो कैसे कर सकते हैं. तो हमारे पास कैसेट प्लेयर होता था, तो वो कैसेट प्लेयर को चलाओ and it would play one verse, then you would write it down. Then you would stop it, then you would play it again, then you would write down the next verse. And half the time, so English songs में तो समझ भी नहीं आता था क्या बोल रहे हैं. So the lyrics would also be all wrong. So I remember when the internet came in, I must have been what, in 8th standard or 7th standard, and it used to be only a text internet. So आज जैसे आपको pictures दिखाई देती है, उस time पे you had to send a command and you would get an answer only in text. And so I downloaded the lyrics of a song back then. So matlab ki if you talk about disruptions that happen and how normals change, okay, I think technology is something that for the last 20-25 years has been driving this significant and quick shift in what normal is. I think this is the first time in our lifetimes that external factor which is non-technology based has actually redefined normal. So I think, in our lifetimes, we have not faced a world war. So let's say this is our world war. When a world war used to happen, whether it happened in the 40s or in the 1910s, the whole world, had to change how they behaved, how they consumed things, how they lived, how they viewed the world. And I think this has been the world war of our lives. This will change how we look at things, how we view things, and I think that is something that now we need to imbibe, going forward, so that we can at least chart out our careers in a different fashion. It's not just about charting your careers; it's charting your lives really, because your career is one part of how you're going to live your life, right? It's an integral part. So I think a lot of people that I see are also making lifestyle decisions, which are differentiated over a period of time. But I'll come to all of that. I think the answer to your question is that in our lifetimes only we have seen the marker shift significantly due to technology at least. Cellular phones came in when I was in college. It used to be 16 rupees a minute. When cell phones were launched, still sounds expensive today. Aaj batao, free from Geo.
Right, absolutely.
So I think from that perspective, these changes keep coming in, but the whole world moves in a certain fashion, right? Everybody embraces technology and then moves in a certain direction. What's different here is that technology adoption can be a little symmetrical. Here, understanding of consumer behavior change is still being analyzed and understood. So nobody knows, what will happen in the coming year. Everybody has their theories. Whether people will come back and buy more because they've not bought enough for the last year or two, or will they have learned to live in a less consumptive environment. Okay, so I think that is something that we have not really understood yet, which is the reason why we as business owners are not able to yet decide what our long-term strategies will be. So, and all this, let's say, ambiguity is what obviously affects the careers of young adults that would have joined from INIFD today. So I think I've seen shifts. I think this shift is a little more difficult to interpret versus what has happened in the past. So that's those are my thoughts on that.
Totally agree. Now, I remember from the last session that we had, we were discussing the progress, or I would say the future of the interior design industry. And we discovered that since people have spent a lot of time at home, they have understood the need of having beautiful homes, of course. How do you think this disruption, this change is going to affect the design industry? I mean, not just the interior designers, we're talking about the fashion design students also. What should they expect? So their question, I'm asking on their behalf, what's in it for me, for a student who is currently studying and somebody who's going to enter the corporate world in next few months, as maybe an entrepreneur or working with a leading organization?
See, I think one of the things, and every decision is eventually linked to what consumers want, right? So whether you're an interior
True.
designer, you will have to take a brief from a consumer and then create that. So consumer trends define what the interior design industry will do, and similarly, consumer trends define what the fashion design industry will do, right? You can make the best clothes in the world, but if nobody's buying it, then it's art. And I have no issues with art. Okay, but you can then assume that a lot of what you create will not sell. So I think from that perspective, when your students ask what is in it for me, I think what is in it for you is opportunity. This gives you the opportunity because now there's a level playing field, right? uh, you have been educated in a certain manner from, let's say, from a distance learning environment. Pretty much everybody in the country has gone through the same thing, right? So, there is no difference in the quality of education that will be presented to you. There is no difference in your intent to do better if your intent is to do better. So I think from that perspective, one, the playing field has become level. I think the children who are able to decode consumer trends better will do much better. So, let's talk about what kind of consumer trends have changed. So you're absolutely right. Let's look at the home. And just for your reference, even I've felt that. So, we've been in this Mumbai house for the last 5 years, and now we are moving to a much bigger apartment because of the pandemic. We won't even have thought about it so much. I would be out most of the times. But now
Right.
we realize, the living condition has to elevate because that's what we have been doing for the last year. So,
Absolutely.
so I think it's absolutely something that everybody must be feeling right now. So, what comes with interior design is one is aesthetic, how pretty it looks, and that's always been the key about interior design, right? But I think what has now come in as the second layer, which is just as important, it's not just about a pretty house and aesthetic, it is also about utility. It is also about being able to, let's say, spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month at your home and having all the utility available within your let's say, the way the house is designed. So let's say, something as simple as, in a lot of apartments in Mumbai, there are these spaces which are dry areas. And a lot of these dry areas are open. So it will be the back balcony, in a manner of speaking, where you will do your and now that we've gone out and seeing apartments, okay, that seems like the key discussion and the key focus that people have put in. So if you see now a lot of spaces that we went and saw, that one area which nobody will think about is the first thing my wife goes to see. Is the first thing that's been done up now. So it's actually, let's say, people are charging extra rentals because of how the dry area has been done up, not how the drawing room has been done up, right?
Right.
So, this change in mindset and utility is something that the pandemic has brought forth. So there is value there, right? Nobody would have thought that the design of the dry area of an apartment can increase the rental by 10,000 rupees, rather than leaving it as an, shady balcony in the back which is dilapidated. The guys who have done it up, created utility there, spaces, racks, completely covered, looks like a second kitchen only in a manner of speaking. Okay, those guys are now charging higher rentals. So obviously, whoever has done up the place has created a business model in interior design, doing up dry areas from a utility perspective, and created a business out of it. So that it's a small example, it's a personal example, but it at least defines what interior design is. It's sometimes not about the aesthetic; it is also about the utility that you bring in.
Absolutely,
Similarly,
that's what.
Similarly, let's say if you were to look at natural light, a lot of us have been stuck in indoors for the longest time. So if you see, I also like to work in a space where there's natural light coming in versus, being in a room where there is no natural light. So when you are actually creating your spaces, are you creating those spaces with enough natural light? These are the questions that were not being asked as much in interior design before. But with the pandemic coming in and with people working from home, which will become a big trend, right? So that is one of the elements of the new normal. Not everybody is going to go back to work full time. A lot of people will be working from home. A lot of organizations are telling people to work from home. They have figured out that there is enough, let's say, productivity that you can get out of your people, even when they're working from home. So why pay high rentals? If you pay 10 lakh rupees a month for an office which fits in 30 people, why, if you cut it down to 5 lakhs and have 15 people work from home or rotate in office, suddenly you have saved 60 lakhs in the year, right? And there are ancillary costs. So you've actually saved about a crore, electricity, blah, blah, blah. So I think from that perspective, a lot of people, the new normal is defining consumer trends. The consumer trends, people who are able to pick up those trends and create solutions are the people who are going to, let's say, grow in this environment. Similarly, let's come to fashion design now. Now, in fashion design, what has happened is that at leisure, comfort clothing has become, a significant part of people's wardrobes. Um, Even when we return to, let's say, going out, I think a lot of people will move more towards a casual clothing culture versus a formal clothing culture. And that shift will perhaps not be evident right now because a lot of people are still at home. But you will see that shift happen quite dramatically over the next year. You will see more corporates being a little more open minded about casual clothing, more people meeting in let's say spaces where or at parties, we go to a lot of dinners. Nobody's dressing up in cocktail dresses anymore. A lot of people have moved to much more comfortable clothing because that's what they've been doing for the last year. So I think even in fashion design you will see trend shift. Obviously there will be a lot of things that will come back to normal as well. You cannot take the wedding industry out of the whole thing. Indians love to get married, Indians love to spend money on weddings, and we do see a lot of that coming in. Obviously, a lot of people have realized that maybe you don't have to do 8 functions over 2 weeks. Okay, you do not have to call 1,850 people per function. So you will see some amount of reduction in the excess that people do to show off. But for Indians, weddings come from the heart, and we will see a fair amount of investment and consumption coming back in the wedding industry as well. I see a lot of destination weddings picking up even more as people try to do differentiated things. So I think from that perspective, so I think when your students ask, what is in it for me? What is in it for you is opportunity to find these consumer trends, find solutions for these consumer trends, and build your careers on that.
Yes, I completely agree to every single point. So Indian weddings, of course, are getting popularity outside India also. People are looking at following the similar patterns there as well. So I guess it's time that we pick up the students. Anything else, Jaspreet sir, that you want to share, with the students before we pick up students who have to ask questions individual, one by
No,
one?
so as you saw, I was actually the part of what I wanted to say. I'm just weaving into the questions that you're asking.
Right, absolutely.
That is the reason why each question you ask goes on for 5 or 6 minutes. But the point was to share thoughts. I would love to interact with the students. And while there are points that I do have to make, I'm sure I can weave it into the conversation with the students, and hence it becomes more interactive. And if there's anything left at the end, then I can just complete that. But I'd be glad to interact with the students. Last time it was an Instagram live, so I didn't get an opportunity to interface. And I always look forward to spending time with INIFD students, which I haven't got the opportunity for this time because Fashion Week didn't happen on ground. But we look forward to welcoming both INIFD students and the INIFD center directors, back to Fashion Week next season, because we are most definitely going back to our on-ground avatar completely by next season. So let's hear from some of the students.
Certainly. So we are really thankful to you for sparing your time for us, sir. It's always been great talking to you. The first student that we have on the list is Anu from INIFD Chandigarh. Anu, I am going to give you the access to share your camera and speak.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, Anu.
Um, Sir, my question is, during the pandemic, we heard a lot of famous designers talking about sustainability on their Instagram live sessions. Sir, so how long do you think they're going to follow the same?
So there are two divergent views around the sustainability narrative right now. Anu, I wanted to see you also. I'm not getting to see any students. Hello, how are you?
Hi,
Don't be
sir. We're
shy.
fine.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I think there are two different narratives to the conversation on sustainability right now. So there are a set of people who are saying कि अभी financial sustainability is most important. If we do not survive, in our business, what other sustainability will we bring in? So that's one, gear of thought. But I think one of the other things that's come in is that people have realized, and especially this was true during the lockdown, the air got cleaner, the water got cleaner, everything got better, people's health improved. And so a lot of people from a consumer perspective have realized the value to sustainability. What used to be a challenge for us was that कि हम रिटेलर लेवल पे तो बोल रहे हैं सस्टेनेबिलिटी, डिजाइनर लेवल पे बोल रहे हैं सस्टेनेबिलिटी, फैशन वीक लेवल पे बोल रहे हैं सस्टेनेबिलिटी, आपको सस्टेनेबिलिटी पढ़ा रहे हैं, लेकिन कंज्यूमर इज नॉट पेइंग ₹1 एक्स्ट्रा फॉर दैट सस्टेनेबल सोल्यूशन. तो अगर कंज्यूमर एक्स्ट्रा नहीं पे करेगा, इवन इफ इट्स ₹10 फॉर समथिंग, व्हाई विल अ कॉर्पोरेट इन्वेस्ट इन इट, राइट? So I think that is something that has sped along during the pandemic, where जो consumer है वो बोल रहा है कि अब I am willing to pay a little extra for a better life. And for a better life में I want cleaner air for my children. I want, X, Y, Z. I have realized that if I screw around with Mother Earth can screw me back. Okay, which is exactly what has happened, right?
Yes, sir.
We go around thinking that we are invincible. Would you have thought, आप बताओ, एक साल पहले आपने सोचा होगा कि ये पूरी कंट्री ऑफ 1 बिलियन पीपल मास्क में आज बैठे होंगे या घूम रहे होंगे?
No, sir, never.
तो ये तो इवेंचुअली तो मदर अर्थ ने ही हमको बोला है ना कि टाइम टू टेक केयर ऑफ मी एज वेल. सो आई थिंक फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव जो कंज्यूमर बेस्ड सस्टेनेबिलिटी कॉन्वर्सेशन है वो काफी स्पीड पकड़ लिया है. एंड अगर वो स्पीड पकड़ती है और कंज्यूमर ही मांग रहा है प्रोडक्ट्स, ओके, मतलब वेदर इट्स ऑर्गेनिक फूड, मतलब सस्टेनेबिलिटी डजंट नीड टू बी ओनली अबाउट क्लोथिंग, राइट? इट कैन बी अबाउट एनीथिंग, but you want more comfortable fabrics, you want more natural fibers, and that is in a way sustainability. You want better water, which means that microfibers from your clothes should not go into the water. You want better food, and all of these are various legs of sustainability. Consumer mangega, corporate उनको देगा, और ये sustainability narrative, according to me, will speed up.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Anu. Okay, so next we have on the list Ananya from INIFD Ludhiana. Is that Ananya Jain? Can you please raise your hand and confirm?
Good evening, sir.
Hello, Ananya. How are you?
Sir, I'm fine. It's my pleasure attending your webinar. Good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. So we are discussing new normal. My question for you is that we all know COVID has changed ideas of fashion shows, and we are coming up with new creative virtual fashion shows. So will it be possible? It will stay for long run, or it is beneficial for industry and designers, or we should switch back to physical shows?
See, I think what will happen, and obviously that's part of our business, so we keep talking about it as well, is the fact that there will be a certain set of people who will realize that what they have done during this pandemic works for their business. Okay, matlab ki, why do I need to spend, let's say, 20 lakhs? And it's become a even bigger conversation globally, where you don't spend 20 lakhs, you spend 5 crores on a show. Right. So, a lot of people have realized that they're able to reach out to their set of people without having doing a major physical event, and perhaps just doing a digital event, because everything's become about social media, right? You're reaching
Yes.
out to your consumers through social media. So it is the content that matters versus the show. So this has become a much bigger conversation globally. Luckily, in India, it's not as expensive to do a physical fashion show. We obviously subsidize it for our designer community. So the designer community तो हमको phone करके काफी बोलती है कि कब वापस we start doing physical shows. So just to let you know, we're trying something very innovative this time at Fashion Week. We are planning to do a drive-in show. So basically, guests will drive in their cars, models will walk the ramp, and they will drive out in their cars. So this is something that we are planning to experiment with. Let's see if the experiment works or not. But our assumption is that October tak we should be, August, September, October, whenever we do the next set of Fashion Week. We are back to our normal physical shows so that we can welcome all you INIFD kids to come help out as you guys usually do. And I think from our end, you can never take the touch and feel out of fashion, right? And that's even more true for the Indian fashion industry, क्योंकि हम जो काम करते हैं उसमें बहुत कारीगरी होती है. जो हम फैब्रिक्स बनाते हैं उसमें हैंडलूम फैब्रिक्स एंड द वर्क दैट वी डू, वो आपको स्क्रीन में पता नहीं चलेगा. And that is what India is known for, right? 95% of all hand woven fabrics in the world are made in India.
Yes.
So वो टच एंड फील के लिए आपको कुछ ना कुछ तो फिजिकल करना पड़ेगा. अब वो क्या फिजिकल करोगे वो भी रीडिफाइन होगा. So that can change over a period of time. Have you ever had the opportunity to come for one of our fashion shows yet?
No, sir, I am a fresher.
Okay, so please
So
take it as
IIM.
my personal invite. I want to see you at Lakme Fashion Week in August, September, October, whenever we do it. Okay, and
Thank
you
you
come and
so
say
much.
hello to me.
Okay, sir, thank you so much.
And then you tell me whether you enjoyed this interaction more or did you enjoy the physical interaction more. That's what your question was also, no? Digital versus physical.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Okay.
on the other hand, we also have to balance the WHO measures, like corona is increasing or something. So how will we be able to cope up with that problem?
So we invest a lot. So I'm still talking from a fashion show perspective. So we have invested a lot of money in safety. So just for your reference, let's say when we did the shoots also last time, shoot तो physically था ना, लोग तो shoot के लिए तो आए ही थे, तो मतलब कि उनकी safety का we had to keep in mind. So just for your reference, we conducted 887 COVID tests in 12 days. So every person who was there, who was down for the shoot, was tested every alternate day. So if you were there for 12 days, you had to go through 7 COVID tests. And you had to quarantine in your home for 4 days. And we made you quarantine for 4 days in the hotel as well. So, eventually, to, if you see Lakme Fashion Week, usme naam to, Unilever or Reliance ka hai on the line, right? So we can't take any, we can't play around with that. And secondly, eventually it's people's safety. It's just a fashion show.
Yes.
I think people's safety is most important to us. When things go back to normal, I'm hoping by October, a lot of people would have gotten the vaccine as well, which means that the chain of the viral infection would have broken. We would have hopefully negligible cases, so that all of you guys can come, and while we maintain some amount of social distancing and we still wear masks, we enjoy a fully fledged Lakme Fashion Week.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ananya. I'll look for you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. See you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya. And next, we are bringing Mahima Jain from INIFD, Kolkata Lindsay Street.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi, Mahima. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good.
Sir, my question is sustainable fashion. Till how long will it continue in India or in the world? Like 5 years, 10 years, or what, according to you, will be designers' future?
So sustainable fashion will continue. There's no end to it. It's only going to gather more and more steam over a period of time. More and more people will start, only looking at sustainable solutions. So I don't see it being कि 5 साल के बाद खत्म होके कोई नया ट्रेंड शुरू हो जाएगा. अब ये ट्रेंड नहीं रहा. अब it's become part of our lives. Like I was telling, the person who asked the first question, we want better lives. We want to live better. And unless we go on this journey of sustainability and, we don't either take care of the people or don't take care of our planet, we are going to kill ourselves only. So, from that perspective, I don't think sustainability will go anywhere. Fashion trends will change, but sustainability is not a trend. You understand the difference between trend and fashion?
Yeah.
Trend and style, actually. What's the difference?
Trends
change, style is forever.
And remain same. Yeah.
Style is forever. So I think from that perspective, what you will see is sustainable fashion being part of the style statement of people that remains there. But trends will keep changing, and like I said, the trends will move towards more casual, comfort clothing for a while. There will be other trends coming in terms of the usage of fabrics or people going back to let's say their heritage and picking up something that is part of their heritage and creating a modern version of it. So you will see a lot of these trends come in, but sustainable fashion is here to stay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahima. Have a nice day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time, Mahima. So next is Dhwani Modi from Mumbai, Andheri.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, so I am from INIFD Andheri. So my question was, when you were talking about fashion shows, so what is the change in the trends do you foresee for the fashion shows? Like now when all the fashion shows like Lakme fashion show and all were digital, do you think that they will be held physically sooner and what were the challenges that were faced while the Lakme fashion show which happened currently?
Yeah, so I answered a part of that question before, but I'm gonna do it again. Obviously, the biggest challenge for people was safety right now. So we did the whole quarantining, testing. We actually hired some of the best consultants in the world to come up with the safety plan. And we've done that across both fashion and sports. So let's say Mumbai Indians with the IPL, the whole Indian Soccer League that we did, all of those bio bubbles was created by my teammates. So safety was obviously the biggest challenge that we worked on. The other challenge is obviously commercial considerations. It's a tough time, to ask money from the design fraternity. So we had to go out of our way to support designers in their tough times. So we had to make investments there. Obviously, our partners and sponsors also went through a difficult business period. So obviously, the business impacts have been there on Fashion Week. But I think from our perspective, because we are Lakme Fashion Week and it's the coming together of two of the largest companies in the country, and we have partners who will not let us go no matter what, like INIFD. We have gotten through this tough period, and I think now we are in the on the path to getting back to the level that we were. Like I mentioned, we will move back to a fully on-ground event in September, October when we do the next Lakme Fashion Week. Our intent is to welcome all INIFD students at that time. And we are also looking at, see, there are some learnings that have happened over the last year, right? We have understood that sometimes great content can create more buzz rather than an on-ground action. So you will see those digital elements remaining. We've also activated certain things that were, good for the fashion industry, which is, let's say, an online showroom. तो पहले क्या होता था कि आप वो 5 दिन अगर आपने अपना स्टॉल नहीं लिया फैशन वीक में, देन ओके बायर आया और चला गया, आपके स्टॉल पे नहीं आया या आपने स्टॉल नहीं लिया तो आप इंटरफेस नहीं कर पाए. But at least we have created now a digital interface for all buyers and the Indian fashion industry, which now will continue. So the things that we have done during the pandemic, it is not just ki kuch karna tha, it is also keeping in mind the strategies that we can take forward and build into the core of the fashion week going forward. So I think that's basically been our strategy, and yeah, we're going to be back to on ground in the next 3, 4, 5 months.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome, Twani. I like your name.
Thank you so much.
Indeed. So thank you, Dhwani, for your time, and Riya Solanki from Pune, Koregaon Park. Riya, are you there? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Riya.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Actually, my question was that with these huge investment in textile industry, how does fashion will optimize this opportunity?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Oh, okay. With these huge investments in these textile industries, how will fashion optimize this opportunity and will use it?
Do you mean investments from the government or investments from corporates? Whose investments are you talking about?
Like investment overall in the textile industry.
Okay. Yeah, so if you see, the government is doing some amount of investments in the Indian fashion industry. Obviously, what has happened over the last 8 to 10 months is that a lot of corporates have actually reduced their span of investment in the industry because a lot of working capital was required to pay salaries, pay rentals, even though the stores were shut. what you will see is consolidation. आप समझते हैं consolidation क्या होता है?
As in?
Consolidation means Reliance taking over other companies essentially.
Okay.
So basically, like in the retail industry, भी क्या होगा कि a lot of brands will start leveraging each other's, let's say, competencies. So just another example is Sabyasachi has now tied up with Aditya Birla Group. Okay, because brand Sabyasachi had reached a certain level. Okay, was about 200-300 crores worth of turnover. Was not able to build to the next level. And the investments that will come in from the Aditya Birla Group, the hope is that brand Sabyasachi becomes a global brand. Like when a Valentino or an Emporio Armani or a Giorgio Armani आपके मॉल में आता है in India, वैसे ही Sabyasachi will be in a mall in America. Okay, so it depends on आपका business कहाँ पे है and what kind of investments you require. But investments are available. It is up to either individual designers or retailers to figure out, what they want to do with the investments and what their growth plans are. So, I think the opportunities are there. It is just for people to create the right strategy for their brand and then leverage it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I hope you understood
Thank
what
you.
I was trying to explain.
Yes, I did understand. Like there are opportunities, and as you said, that they put up some strategies. So then we have to seek for some of them now.
Right. Okay, thank you, Ria. Have a
Yeah.
nice day.
Thank you.
Good day, Ria. So that was the last question from the selected 5 students. Now I already have one question in the chat box for you, Jaspreet sir. How do you suggest one should upskill or reskill himself or herself in the current scenario? What are the suggestions that you have for our students?
See, skilling has to happen on 2 levels. One is skilling in the core of the work that you do. And one is skilling in your overall personality to be employable. So I think you need to define what are the elements that you're weak in and work on both elements. So let's say if you were to look at skilling in the work that you do. So let's say if you are a fashion designer, my assumption is you are taught design, right? That's why you have joined INIFD. But are you going and spending time experimenting with fabrics? Are you, creating experimentation or new innovation in some sort of a stitching technique, perhaps? Are you building in your ability? See, you can fail. When you innovate, most of the times, most innovations don't work. I think when you're spending time trying out new things, you're upskilling yourself in a manner of speaking while doing that. So, there is a certain amount of work that you do when you're doing that skill-based work. And then there is the other things that you need to work on, which is your ability to communicate. I think communication skills are the most important. And this is not something that I talk about only when I meet INIFD students. Even when I am invited to talk at an IIM, I have the same conversation with students there. Because it is not that everybody in an IIM has the top of the line communication skills. A lot of them come from engineering colleges and have never actually worked on their ability to communicate forward. But irrespective of the job that you do, whether you're, let's say running a business or whether you're designing garments, you have to make a sale. You might not be in your job selling to the customer, but either you're selling to your boss or you're selling to your employee or you're selling, आपको eventually तो अपना concept दूसरे को समझाना है. And
Absolutely.
If your communication skills are not matched up to that, you will always struggle in no matter what job you do. So, there are these 7 C's of communication, very base level, fundamental. but I don't even remember, I think 6 of the C's now that I've said it. But it's about being concise. So you're sharp about what you say. It's about being clear. It's about being concrete. So maybe, I would recommend that the 7 C's of communication is something that's taught. And then, one of the exercises that we used to do back then is that, for keeping in mind the 7 C's of communication, we would give the opportunity for students to create a presentation on anything that is not related to the work that they do, and use those communication skills to actually present it out. See, what will happen in an INIFD is kids will keep presenting their designs, but are they presenting something that is so off topic that they have to think extra before communicating it? First, they have to learn the subject themselves and then, put it out there. So I remember in IIM, I did one on sexual harassment in the workplace. Everybody chose any topic and then created a presentation around it, to give it out. And that became a good exercise. But I think the point that I wanted to make was that unless you're able to sell your concept, I sell all the time, and I'm not always selling just to Aditi from INIFD. I am selling to my boss as well, right? I'm selling concepts on what I want to build as new businesses. And so I think it's the same thing. I'm selling to designers a concept of why they should showcase at Lakme Fashion Week. It's all a sale. And to do that sale, you need to be able to communicate it properly. Sometimes you'll be selling, I'm selling to my juniors most of the time. Ki bhaiya kaam kar lo. Wo bhi to sale hi hai na, eventually, in a manner of speaking. If you do not communicate out what work they have to do properly and what they will get out of the work and how it will help them in their careers or help them in their growth or help them in the business that they're supposed to run, I think that becomes a key point that a lot of educational institutes perhaps do not focus on enough. They'll focus on the core. And every time I have these conversations with students, I do want them to focus on communication. That's the biggest and most important thing. Nobody is going to remember. I don't remember accounts. I don't remember business law. I don't remember economics as much as I should. But what I remember is how to communicate and negotiate, because that's what the job requires more so than anything else.
Right. So upskilling not just vertically but horizontally is equally important. And I personally feel that with the popularity of technology and use of technology in current scenario, I personally recommend that one should get hands-on with technology also to an extent. Obviously,
no, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think the two most powerful tools made to mankind in olden ages was the hammer and fire. In today's age, it is Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Excel.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you're good at both of those, it makes a significant difference in your business. Even as young designers, a lot of designers make it through Gen X, and then we ask them to make a business presentation and they can't. If you ask them how has their P&L been, they're not able to put it down on an Excel sheet. And eventually those are the designers that struggle to build themselves into businesses over a period of time, versus other designers who might not be as talented from a design perspective, but understand the nuances of business. So absolutely agree with you.
We do see that happening, I guess, in every office. This is the biggest challenge that we have in today's scenario. So I have a couple of questions on YouTube as well. Let me read the first one for you. It is Nabila asking, sir, what will you choose between fast fashion and sustainable fashion, or fast and sustainable fashion? I guess I read it right. Yeah.
So I don't quite enjoy fast fashion, to tell you the truth. So even, let's say my definition of sustainability perhaps might not always be 100%. It's impossible. You try your best, but it doesn't mean that every garment that I own has a sustainable angle to it. I'm wearing a linen shirt right now. I'm pretty sure this linen shirt took 3,000 liters of water to make. But the fact of the matter is that I do not change my clothes too often. So while I might be in the fashion industry, I'm very clear I can step out very easily wearing the same shirt to 3 fashion weeks. My team will roll their eyes on me. But the fact of the matter is I don't need to prove to anything to anyone. If I have bought something, I would want it to have a life. I would want to wear it on multiple times, and that's also a sustainable way to live, right? When you're not increasing the waste in garment waste in the world by buying 50 pieces of garments every year, wearing them once and then putting them somewhere in your wardrobe to throw away 3 years down the line without having worn them again. So I think from that perspective, and that's true for my family as well. We do not like to consume so much that we have to waste so much, and hence fast fashion does not attract so much. Trends don't attract so much, and it's strange for the guy who is head of a fashion week to say that, but I'd rather just buy great timeless styles, which a lot of designers do, versus something that is perhaps in trend and needs to be done or bought or worn immediately. So I'm one for sustainable fashion over fast fashion.
Right, I completely agree with you. So next, Rutvi on YouTube asking, sir, I would like to ask how to find our own style for designing clothes.
I don't have an answer because I'm not a designer. So I don't know how to find your own style. I think it's a function of, I speak to a lot of creative people and they tell me that once they've designed something that, gives them peace of mind, makes their heart feel light, they know that this is the space in which they want to operate in over a period of time. So, I genuinely don't have an answer to it. To each his own. The only thing I will tell you is that there is no answer to this, because this is a journey that you have to take yourself, because style is always internal. Style is what you define. Fashion is what the world defines. So, I think it's an internal decision that you guys, and the journey is something that you have to take on your own. We take a last couple of questions. I have a hard stop at 5 p.m., please.
Absolutely, sir. I guess we are done with this. So before we conclude, I just need a word of advice from you for all our team members and all our students.
Yeah, I think the piece of advice that I will have is that it is time to look at the world with optimism. When you're at home, you haven't had the opportunities that you thought you might have had at the age that you're at, and that's true for any age. It's true for students, and I understand it's particularly harder on students than guys our age. We expected things to move in a certain direction. So did I. I expected my career to go in a certain direction. There was a 1-year pause. Now we are again, rolling with it. So I think from our perspective, we need to now be optimistic about the future. We need to believe that the future holds great things for us. We need to adapt to the new normal, because that is the topic of my discussion. To put that into the ending as well. And the world will get better for you. Life will get better for you. The opportunities will start coming in again. So start being positive in life. Start working on yourselves. There is great opportunity in a country like India, more so than in a country like America right now. So while people keep looking to the West and saying, I wish I was in the West right now, the land of opportunity, I don't see that happening for the next 10 years in the West. I see Europe, America being under tremendous stress for the next decade. I see us being lucky to be in a country where there is going to be significant growth over the next decade. It's great opportunity, and it's aching for a young nation to move forward. And there is no greater definition of a young nation than the lovely students of INIFD.
That was quite an insightful session, sir. I really thank you and the Rise Worldwide team for giving your time to us. We are really thankful to you. I'm sure our students are going to make use of all the suggestions and tips that you have shared. Thank you so much once again. And all the students, thank you for your time and cooperation. Good day.
No, always a pleasure. Thank you all, and thank you, Aditi Srivastava, and thank you to you also for being a great moderator. And look forward to seeing all the students back at Lakme Fashion Week soon. Have a nice day. Bye.
All of them are looking forward to, of course.